So in 1999, I was a freshman at Uniontown High School, and my history project, Life in a Jar, the Irena Sendler project, changed my path. It changed my life. In Uniontown High School, it's in southeast Kansas, and it is a very rural school with no diversity. And my high school history teacher, Norm Conard, decided he would bring diversity into our classroom through projects and bring awareness and respect for all people. So he wanted his students to discover an unsung hero, complete in-depth research, primary research, and then create a project, whether it be performance, documentary, exhibits, or websites. So myself and Elizabeth and Sabrina, we decided that we wanted to learn more about the Holocaust. So we asked Mr. Conard, do you have any topics, any ideas, any unsung heroes? And he said, well, I've got this box of clippings, newspaper, magazine articles. Why don't you go through it? See if you find anything interesting. So we found a 1994 News and World Report article entitled Other Sendlers. It featured 8 rescuer stories, and one of the paragraphs said Irena Sendler saved over 2,500 Jewish children from the Warsaw Ghetto during the Holocaust. 2,500. If she saved twice as many plus as Oskar Schindler, and he's in our history books and there's a movie about him, why haven't we heard about her? This has to be a typographical error. That was our immediate thought. So we asked Mr. Conard, have you heard of this woman? Do you know her story? He said, I haven't heard of her. Why don't you do a Google search? So we typed in her name. 1 hit. Today, if you Google Irena Sendler, you will find between 400 to 800,000 hits out there on the internet, when we started with 1. So we went to the Midwest Center for Holocaust Education. We went to the Kansas State Historical Society, university libraries, trying to find information about Irena Sendler. There was nothing in English about her. So per Mr. Conard's suggestion, we start researching the Warsaw Ghetto, World War II, the Holocaust, other rescuer stories to try and write our performance. And we started searching for her burial site because she would have been 91 years old at this point. And in high school, you really don't think people live to be 91. I don't feel that way now. So we were emailing people saying, do you know where she's buried? And we got an email saying, she's still alive. She lives in Warsaw. Here's her address. We were blown away. Immediately, we wrote a letter. We sent a copy of our script, pictures of us, and money for her to send a letter back to us. And we walked to the post office in our town of 200 people, and we started thinking, why would a woman in Eastern Europe care about kids in rural Kansas? So I'll never forget the day when Liz came running down the hallway shouting, we got a letter, we got a letter. So we're so excited, we pulled the letter out. It's all in Polish. So 7 pages, handwritten. And the very first line that our translator told us, it said, to my dear and beloved girls, very close to my heart. And in this first letter, she started to share with us how she saved these children, why she saved the children. She told us she had nightmares every single night of her life. She continued to ask herself, did I do enough? Could I have done more? So that's our question as we present, as we continue to share her story. And that's my question for you today. Are you doing enough? Can you do more in the world around you to change it and make it a better place? Irena would go into the Warsaw Ghetto almost daily. As 1939, Germany invaded Poland, Irena Sendler had heard what was happening in Germany, and so she started gathering collaborators. She was very high up in the social welfare department in Warsaw, and she had the ability to make false documents to get the signatures she needed. She started finding hiding places. Before the ghetto was even formed, she's hiding her Jewish friends, Jewish families, children. She's putting them in safe places. And then the ghetto's forming, and families are being forced into the ghetto. So then she has to start going into the ghetto, and she has false documents stating she's a nurse. So she has access to go in and out of the ghetto. Her collaborators are going in and out as much as she is. First, she takes out the orphans because she doesn't have to approach the parents and grandparents. Because when she starts talking to them and saying, I would like to take your children, I'd like to put them in a safe place until the war is over, And then I'm keeping information. I want to reunite you. That is my goal. And they would say, give us a guarantee. She'd say, I can't even guarantee we'll get out of the ghetto alive. If we're caught, the Nazis officers will shoot us, no questions asked, if they see me taking out a Jewish child. But the only guarantee I can give you is Treblinka, the death camp. There are rumors. That's the only guarantee I have. So to take the children out, she used many different ways. She told us she could never use the exact same way twice because it would be far too dangerous. The Catholic Church, the ghetto line went right through the middle of the church. So one entrance was in the ghetto, one was on the Aryan side. They would take the child in, teach the child Polish prayers. They would dress the little boys as girls, dye the little girls' hair blonde, any way to disguise them as part of the superior Aryan race. They would do that. Once they were on the other side, a collaborator would meet on the Aryan side and take the child to safety. The courthouse, the ghetto line went right through the middle of the courthouse. So they were able to do the same thing, walking the child through the courthouse. One way I found really interesting is her collaborator actually drove the tram car through the ghetto. The last stop before going back on the Aryan side, one of the collaborators would get on with the tram with the child sedated in a box and place the box under a seat in the tram car. However, if the Gestapo would have stopped the tram and they would have found the baby or little child in this box, they would have shot the driver immediately. But once they were never caught, but once on the other side, a collaborator would get on and take the child off the tram. Once the children were out onto the Aryan side, she would place them with Polish families, orphanages, convents, and she wrote down their Jewish names, their Jewish parents' names, their Christian name, their age, and where they were placed on slips of paper like tissue paper, which she put into jars and buried under an apple tree right across the street from the German barracks. So the entire time, it was under the Nazis' nose, and they had no idea. So Irena, ultimately, her goal was to reunite the children with their families. And the reason she did it, her father was suffering from typhus. He was dying from typhus when she was 7 years old. And she would sit outside of his bedroom and they would have conversations. And he told her, if you see someone drowning, you have to jump in and save them, whether you can swim or not. So 1939 arrived, and she saw the Jewish religion as a whole drowning. And it was up to her to jump in and save them. Life in a Jar took on a life of its own. We came back our sophomore years in high school, and we started a documentary on the jazz singer Hughie Ledbetter. We were proving he was a pioneer on the frontier of American music. And we started getting calls to do Life in a Jar performances. We said, no, we're busy, we're working on our documentary. Finally, thankfully, we got a phone call, and Mr. Conard said yes for us to perform at a middle school in Kansas City. We did 4 performances that morning, and there happened to be a Jewish businessman there who decided to teach history for 1 year, and he saw our performance, and he took us out to lunch, and he said, what's the goal with your project? Well, we'd love to meet Irena. And he said, okay, what are you doing to make that happen? We're selling candy bars. And he said, okay, how much money have you raised? $81. And he said, okay, if I raise the money, will you go to Poland? Yeah. He said, okay, I'm going to raise the money. You're going to go to Poland. You say you make documentaries. You're going to put together a film about your experiences and then come to my synagogue on September 12th, 2001 and share your story. Okay, so we're making the 2-hour drive back south to Uniontown, and we're thinking, we don't know this guy. He's not going to call. Within 24 hours, he calls Norm Conard's classroom, my high school history teacher, and says, I've raised the money. I've found some supporters who believe in your project and what you're doing, and you're going to Poland. Okay, so I think I called my mom, and thankfully my mom was in remission. She was diagnosed with breast cancer about 2 months after the project started in 1999. So she was able to go to Poland with us. And people say, in the last 17 years, what's your most memorable moment? For me, that's easy. I remember walking into the apartment where we met Irena Sendler for the very first time. And we said hello, gave hugs, lots of tears, emotion. And then she was sitting in this chair, and we were sitting around her feet. And I remember looking into her eyes, the eyes that had looked into so many parents' eyes and children's eyes. And then looking over my shoulder and seeing my mom sitting there. The two most influential, strongest women in my life in the same room. And they are both now my guardian angels. So some of the children that Irena saved, you see there Renata Zeidman, she's hugging my brother. My brother was in the performance for a while. I played the Nazi soldier, and I really didn't want to anymore, so I asked my mom, and my mom was very excited to have my brother involved in the performance. But my brother also got the opportunity to play the role of Dr. Voss. And we actually got to meet him. He was a rescuer who actually took in some of the children that Irena saved. So Dr. Voss, in costume there with Renata Zeidman. Renata was 13 years old living in the sewers when she was rescued by Irena Sendler. And while she was alive, she traveled with us with Life in a Jar. She spent some time actually here in Kansas City with us. And then on the left there, or your right, we have Elżbieta Fisolska. Elżbieta was 5 months old when she was placed in a carpenter's box. Irena had drove in a hygiene truck, unloaded all of the items, and Elżbieta was placed in the floorboard of the truck. But her parents said, wait, before you take her out, we want to put a silver spoon in the box with her. And her silver spoon had her first name only. It was too dangerous to have her last name. And her date of birth, January 5th, 1942. Elżbieta, her parents were killed at Treblinka. Most of the children that Irena saved, their parents, their family members, their aunts, their uncles, they were killed at Treblinka. So it made reuniting them after the war very difficult, but she continued to search. The photograph there of Irena Sendler was taken May 3rd, 2008. I actually took that photo. That was the last time we saw her, 9 days before she passed away on May 12th. And May 12th has always been an important date to me because that's my birthday. And I've played Irena now in the performance for about 13 years. And after my mom passed, Irena and I developed a very special, close relationship. She was like a surrogate mother, I guess you could say. And we felt that she passed on my birthday. It was very symbolic, as if she was passing the torch onto us to keep her light burning. So the impact, I've made 5 trips to Poland now to meet Irena, spend time with her, conduct interviews, actually perform in Poland. And we've done 383 performances now. We're booking for 2018 all over the United States, Canada, and Poland. Our website has had almost 60 million hits. And we have the Irena Sendler Award in Poland, which is the top teaching education award in Poland. It's given out to the teacher who best teaches Holocaust education in the true spirit of Irena Sendler, and it's given out at the Presidential Palace. Our goal has always been to make her story known to the world, and we were able to do that with the performance, but also with our book and with the Hallmark Hall of Fame movie, The Courageous Heart of Irena Sendler. This school project, as you can see, changed my life, but it also changed my goal and my dreams. I started college to be a pharmacist, and after 3 semesters, I realized that wasn't my dream. I couldn't make a difference I'm a pharmacist. I mean, I could, but really not the kind of change that I wanted to make. So my high school history teacher, his dream of using unsung heroes, of role models to teach respect and understanding to young people became my dream. And with the help of Mr. Lowell Milken, we were able to found the Lowell Milken Center in 2007 in Fort Scott, Kansas. And we do just that. We work with teachers and students around the world, helping them find unsung heroes, role model stories, do in-depth research, conduct oral history interviews, find their unsung heroes sometimes if they're still alive, and put together performances, documentaries, exhibits, websites, however they choose to share their research and information. What is an unsung hero? We have a little bit of a different definition. We want our students to do in-depth thinking, collaborative research, and really dig in to have ownership and light a fire in them, and it also creates a love for history and a deeper understanding. So our unsung heroes have created a positive and profound impact and change over time. And one of our very positive unsung heroes that students have found is Adam Shoemaker. He was a teacher preacher in Tell City, Indiana, and the Lincoln family moved into his parish, and the young boy needed a job. So he gave the young boy, Abraham, a job cleaning his church and cleaning his school. And this young boy, after the sermons on Sunday, he would go stand on a stump in his yard and preach. And on his way to his presidential inauguration, Abraham Lincoln stopped the train in Tell City and said to the Shoemaker family, Adam is the one who started me on my road to opposing slavery. And these are the type of unsung heroes that our young people are researching and being inspired by. One person can make a difference. I truly believe that. I live that every day. And I think we all have the responsibility to step up, to make a difference, change the world around us, and make it a better place. Thank you.